All right, well, it's been a little bit of time, but he is back once again in Idaho Falls on November 16th, live from the Mountain America Center. It is none other than Thomas Boyer. Thomas, such a pleasure to talk to you, man. How you been over the past couple of years? We haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I've been busy, been training as much as I can. I wanted to refine a lot of issues in my fight game a little bit before making the big jump into the pro arena. Um, I basically decided, if I'm going to get punched in the face as much as I am, I'm going to get paid for it.
Sure, sure. And that's a reason for a lot of people, right? What specifically in terms of the refinement you talked about have you been working on and trying to just sharpen your game?
Well, I've never had any doubts in any of my ground game. It's always been my stand-up problems. Um, but I've actually gotten the chance to work with a lot of really good strikers over the past couple of years. Uh, Man, I've gotten kicked out of me for the past couple of months, past couple of years actually. So these guys over at Team Lionheart, they're some hardcore dudes, man.
I remember Dominic Vidro blew the roof off of the
Mm-hmm.
Mountain America Center when he had his debut a couple of years ago. Who are some of the other guys that you're consistently getting reps with in that room?
So it's funny you mentioned Dom Vidro. I actually used to train with him forever ago when I was training outside of the YMCA. I knew him back when he was like 12, 13. But like some of to answer the other guys, a lot of them, they're Tate Martin. I don't know if you've talked to
Oh
him at
yeah.
all. Um, Weston Barnes, obviously, a lot of those guys are just really hardcore dudes, and it's pretty awesome to be training with these guys because the last team I was with, they would do nothing but talk smack about everybody. But these guys, I can guarantee, will beat the crap out of anybody else from any other team around here.
Did training with Dom at such a young age, he's talked to us about that specifically, just how young he was and how long he's been kind of chasing after this dream. Was it kind of cool? Has it been cool to watch him kind of grow and develop into the man that he is now?
Oh, absolutely. Every time I see that kid doing the crazy stuff he's doing in the gym, or if I see his fights, I'm always super proud. That kid was man, he was hardcore then. He's even more hardcore now.
Did you know that there was something special about Lionheart when you got there, specifically when you talk about, you've trained at other places and you realize, man, this is probably the best room that I've been a part of?
Yeah, actually, the day that I showed up to that gym, I asked them like ahead of time if I could come by and train because, like I said, they had bad blood with the old team I was on. Um, but as soon as I walked in there, I could tell that there was just a sense of brotherhood, like camaraderie, friendship. Like nobody there seemed to have anything bad to say about anybody else in the team, other than busting each other every so often.
Did you grow up in Idaho?
No, I did not. I actually grew up in Stockton.
How old were you when you got to Idaho, and why have you kind of stayed in that vicinity?
Oh man, I want to say I was 16 when I moved up here. Graduated high school early. Um, I had family up here. My mom was living up here, brothers, sisters. Um, Wanted to come out and live with them for a while before leaving to go do other things. But what's kind of kept me here is, man, it's a beautiful state. I love this state. Like I go up to Island Park and I'll float the river with my wife every so often, and uh, with my coach and his lady, and we'll have a great time. There's just so much to do out here that compared to city living is just night and day, man.
So when you talk about your love for Idaho, obviously being there for so many years, what does it mean to you to finally be back in your backyard after years away? You fought in Boise a few years ago.
Yeah, no, this will be the first time I fought in Idaho Falls. My first fight was actually in Pocatello.
Right.
Um, but yeah, oh man, I forgot that I fought in Boise. Honestly, I I remember the guy that I fought. He was a scary looking dude, Jesse the Sledge Starkey, tattooed head to toe, just big freaking dude. God, that guy was scary.
Speaking of big scary guys that you fought Kent Mafileo, and he has gone on quite the run. Obviously had that PFL debut a couple of months ago as well. Have you been able to kind of keep your finger on the pulse and follow along some of the other guys that you have faced in your career?
Oh yeah, I'm actually friends with almost everybody that I've shared the cage with. Spur Roundstone, he's a really good friend of mine. The whole Roundstone family are really good friends of mine. Um, the only ones that I didn't really keep in contact with were Noah Kramer and Jesse Starkey.
Hmm.
But everybody else, Kent's a great guy. Like he broke my eye socket, so I was out for all of 2020. I had to get a bone graft done. That dude is God. He hits like a freaking truck.
So, with that being said, obviously Kent's power in mind, when you faced him, did you know from that point, yeah, this guy's going to go pro and he's going to be special?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, honestly, I didn't think he was as big as he was. Like all the photos they put out of him are just like they don't make him seem like as such a tall guy, such a freaking huge dude. I was like, I'll fight anybody. I love fighting people. It's therapy to me, you know. But man, he's got a different level of power in those heavyweights, man. He's really the one that made me think, all right, maybe I should drop down in a weight class because dudes are big.
Your first fight in 3 years, and you are going down to light heavyweight. Was it because of the opposition that you were facing? Did you feel undersized, or what was the reasoning behind that?
Mainly I didn't feel healthy at heavyweight. I didn't feel like I was able to put out as much as I can. Just because of the weight. I was a fatty. I was a fatty. I've actually lost almost 100 pounds at this point.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
at the end of 2020, I was weighing about 310, 315 pounds. Just because I wasn't allowed to do anything. I wasn't allowed to like work out. I wasn't allowed to do any strenuous exercise of any kind because they didn't want my bone graft in my eye to deform.
And so, what is that weight loss process like for you? Obviously, everybody has their different rhyme or reason for how they do something. How did you drop at this point now 100 pounds?
My wife, honestly, I'm a terrible snacker, man. I If I get bored, I want to eat something just to give myself something to do. But she helps me keep track of my calories, my carbs, puts me on diets, and then when I try and break those diets, she screams at me really loud. So yeah, no, I mainly I have to attribute the nutrition aspect and losing the weight to my wife. Um, like I did all the physical work, but when it comes to the mental side of it, of follow the routine, follow the plan, and all that, she's the one that really helped me out.
Was there any specific food groups or anything that you increased, decreased? Do you know what kind of calories you were putting in and out, the specifics of it, or was it all just, the mastermind that is your wife?
I knew a little bit of it, but like I said, man, she's got all that stuff on lock. She's lost over 140 pounds
Oh, wow.
not that long ago. So like she knows what she's doing. She's actually a triathlete and got the inspiration award last year. So she knows what she's doing.
Are you ever biking, swimming, running with her at all?
Sometimes I'll run with her, sometimes I'll ride a bike with her. I'm a terrible swimmer.
How long have you guys been together, and how long has it been since she's been kind of helping you in your fight camps and getting prepared for these things?
Oh, she's been helping me out since day one of meeting her, really. We've been married since July 20th of 2019. And I met her about a year before that.
Has it been difficult to be away for the last 3 years? Have you been itching to get back in there, or what is your kind of mindset about that?
Absolutely. I get antsy. I for the past couple of years, I've been watching fights, been watching other people fight, and I can't not see myself fighting for the rest of my life. You know, I'm going to do this until I get hit in the face and turn to dust. So I I've always grown up around violence. I've always grown up around waking up every day and wanting to choose the violence. So rather than, doing something outside of the cage or outside of training, getting me in trouble, I'd rather have a space to let those quote unquote demons out, if that makes sense.
You mentioned that you grew up around violence. Was it tough living in Stockton? And did you see any crazy stuff growing up around there?
I saw my first dead body at about 8 years old. So that was fun. Yeah, no, it wasn't at all. Yeah, I grew up in a pretty crappy situation, crappy town. Um, like I love Stockton, I love Tracy, I love California, but there's just so much stuff that goes on there that I'm just, it would get me in trouble being around it.
Is that kind of growing up in that environment? Do you think that that's what kind of led you to MMA in any sort of way, wanting to be able to defend and protect yourself and maybe your family?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I actually got hospitalized at about 6 years old because I had said something, the wrong thing to one kid at a school. And he had his older brother and all his friends who were apparently a part of a gang. They showed up and they jumped my ass.
At six
I
years old.
Yeah, I got hospitalized at 6 years old by a bunch of teenagers who were gangbangers.
And so from that point on, was it, I got to find a way to defend myself? And what was the chosen martial art at that point at such a young age?
So my grandmother actually helped me figure out what martial art I wanted to do. I actually started out with Gracie Jiu Jitsu, Charles Gracie Jiu Jitsu Academy out of Tracy. And there's another one in Stockton, Livermore, yada, yada, whatever. Not important, I guess. But she wanted me to find a way to be able to defend myself without hitting people. And like it helped me out. Like started out with jujitsu at about 6, maybe 7 after I got out of the hospital to learn self-defense. And it was working for a while until you have to fight multiple people. And I was about to go into middle school when I had gotten the snot kicked out of me again as a kid. And my grandma's like, all right, maybe we need to have you learn how to throw punches back because you're jacked up.
Did you grow up around your grandmother? Was she kind of a big influence on? Did she raise you?
Yes, she did actually. My mother traded me for an 8 ball and $400.
Shout out to your grandmother then. Is she still alive? Is she still with us?
Yeah, she's living in California still. Her and my grandpa Bob, they're doing just fine. They got their own house all paid off finally. They got a nice pool and all that. They're living the dream right now.
Well, it's beautiful to hear that. I'm really happy to hear about all of that, the entirety of that story. And now you're a professional fighter. So with that all being said, it seems like mission accomplished.
Not quite a pro yet. I still got to have my first fight.
Right. Got to have your first fight. Got to tip the scales at 206 or under. And so that all being said, very excited for you. You mentioned obviously being teammates of Tate Martin, Dominic Vidro. They've competed at the Mountain America Center before. Have you had the chance to be at the venue before and go to a show in Idaho Falls?
I have not, honestly. I haven't even been in that stadium yet. It's all going to be fresh and new for me.
Are you excited to see what it's going to look like when you're inside and the fans are packed? And we've been there 3 times. 2 of the 3, we've sold out the entire arena. So that being said, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on you. Is that exciting for you, or does that impact?
Yeah, I love it. I love it when I walk out and the music starts playing and the crowd starts. I'm just like, yeah.
Why come back now? Was it just timing? Was it figuring out stuff in your own life? Why now to be the opportunity to jump up to pro?
So that's a question I've actually been trying to figure out myself. The only thing I'm really good at is the violence. I'm not that smart. I'm not great at video games. I hate other kinds of sports that don't involve hurting people. I don't know. That it's more or less just I miss it. I love it, and it's the only thing I could really see myself doing as a career.
What other things have you done in terms of your career over the years, and why did it never scratch the itch that MMA brought to you?
I don't know. It just something about MMA. The first MMA fight I had ever seen was Chuck Liddell and Jeremy Horn, their first bout. And I was like transfixed. I was like, what the hell is this? This looks awesome. And ever since then, that's just what I wanted to do. You know, I've tried other career paths. Didn't really make it in the military. So I was like, the second best option is, well, fight.
You mentioned Chuck Liddell as well as Jeremy Horn. You actually just sent me photos for thumbnails for when this gets posted next week. And you have photos with both of them. Were you able to
Yes.
explain to them that they were the people that really got you into this sport? And what was that opportunity like?
So there's actually a funny story with the first time I met Jeremy Horn. So I was defending my title against Kent, and I just did doing my weigh-ins. I just finished, signing all the paperwork, getting checked out by the doc and all that stuff, making sure I'm good to go. I look around and I don't see my wife anywhere, and we're at Jeremy Horn's gym for the weigh-ins. I don't see my wife anywhere. I look over and all I see is her bent over in his, like over this little kid gate,
Mm-hmm.
petting this little wiener dog. And Jeremy Horn's just sitting in his office, just like, whatever, I don't care. Meanwhile, my brain's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Because like I get all starstruck. Like even if I somehow manage to make it to the big leagues, to UFC, that's the goal. UFC, Bellator, something like that. Like I'm still going to be starstruck meeting every single person. Like I love this stuff. I love this sport, and I have nothing but respect for everybody who does it.
Do you have a favorite fighter or someone that you've primarily looked up to over the years?
Chuck,
Chuck.
actually, I got something I can show you real quick. It's a tradition of mine. I like to do something called patch trades. I traded a patch with Chuck, and he actually traded this one, his King of Violence patch, and signed it for me.
That is very cool. What was that like for you?
Oh my God. It was meeting my hero, man. Those guys are my heroes.
Obviously those guys are from a different era. Do you like this era nearly as much as you prefer those of the past?
I'm probably going to say something that's going to make a lot of people angry, but I do not like a lot of the new generation of fighters. I don't. A lot of them run their mouths a lot. A lot of them talk a lot of smack and don't back it up with their hands. And I know I'm guilty of it, dyeing my hair and whatnot. But I've since stopped doing that because I thought it looked stupid. And people who paint their nails, Don Fry said it best. Like, he was from the generation where men were men. And I hate saying that because people are going to be all uppity about it or mad about it. So it's more or less, you got to prove yourself to me. You have to earn my respect before I just give it at that point. Like, I like the way Sean O'Malley fights. I don't like the way Sean O'Malley is.
Sure.
I like the way Conor McGregor fights. I don't like Conor McGregor as a person.
Sure.
That's more or less it. It's if you prove yourself outside of the ring, rather than just being a good fighter, you have to be a good person, a respectable person, because you got to think you're representing yourself. You want people to like you, people to come watch you, not just watch you get knocked out.
Final question from me. Just wanted to ask you a little bit about Chris Chu. Obviously, he has been very, very active. And like we've talked about throughout this interview, you're coming off of a long layoff. What are you looking forward to facing off against someone who also, I will mention this, he's coming up a weight class, you're coming down a weight class. What are you looking forward to, and what can the fans be excited about on November 16th?
I've seen a couple of his videos, and I want to test his chin. I really do. Because I've seen him take some pretty hard shots, but a lot of the fights that I've watched him do, he was still, I think, at like 185. The last one I did watch, it was like 2 months ago, I think. I'm just excited to get in there and get down. I don't like to talk smack about my opponents because I don't want to give anybody more of a reason to want to hit me.
Sure.
Because I remember the one time that I was disrespected during weigh-ins, and all I could think of was, I'm going to f this dude up.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give people any more reason to want to hit me more. Like, I like Chris. I think he's a good fighter. I think it'll be a fun match. It'll be a good one to get me back into the flow of things. So I'm just excited to get in there and start duking it out.
Well, we absolutely cannot wait for the return of Thomas Boyer in his backyard in Idaho Falls, live from the Mountain America Center. Thomas, how can people support you during this fight camp and help you out in terms of this comeback fight?
Buy tickets online. Say you want to support me or whoever. I'm not really worried about people coming to see me. I just want to hear the crowd go crazy.
Thomas Boyer, November 16th. Cannot wait for it. Thank you so much, my man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.